The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, hello. Welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
I'm CJ.
And I'm Carlos.
Boy, Carlos is paying us a visit. It's been a while.
Oh, he's got
Spain.
He's got his special bow tie on, too.
I know, exactly.
You must be going somewhere important after this show.
Finally, I had my a week vacation. I need it.
Yeah, you're always on vacation.
To charge my batteries for this year.
You're always on vacation.
You're going to need a battery charge. The way things are starting off, it looks like it.
Yeah, well,
where do we begin? Come on, CJ.
Before we begin with the city stuff, I have to give a big thumbs up and great deal of support to the Supreme Judicial Court of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. In a case which was John Doe versus the SORB, which is the Sexual Offender Registry Board. Supreme Court docket SJC 11823. The Supreme Judicial Court basically, to summarize this, struck down the Sexual Offender Registry Board, which basically meant that on Wednesday, when this decision was issued, they turned around and they took the Sexual Offender Registry offline. Now, this only affects Massachusetts, doesn't affect anywhere else in the country. And they gave a listing of approximately 9, I believe, criteria which must be met for the Sex Offender Registry Board to publish these people's names. But I'll read you the conclusion. The decision of the Supreme Court judge affirming SORB's classification of Doe as a Level 2 sex offender is vacated and set aside. We remand the matter to the Superior Court for entry of an order requiring SORB to conduct an evidentiary hearing consistent with this decision and to cease disseminating Doe's registry information on the internet during the pendency of such proceedings. So basically, what the Supreme Judicial Court said was, we cannot allow you to publish the names of rapists, child molesters, dog screwers, whatever you want to call them, and the people of the people of Massachusetts have no right to know that they live next door to a pervert. Okay? And this all comes about because the Sexual Offender Registry Board classifies people. That classification is based upon how likely they are to repeat the offense. And sexual 1 and 2 offenders under the previous system are most likely to reoffend. And those are the ones you want to know about in your neighborhood. The problem is that we can't know about it now. And we can't report it anywhere. Because our Supreme Judicial Court, the liberal arm of government in Fall River, which is basically the entire government in Massachusetts and everywhere else, has said, too bad, you don't have a right to know. And yeah, too bad, you live next door to a guy who's probably going to rape your kid, but that's your problem, not ours. I mean, that's basically what I get out of this. I don't know about you, Chip, but...
Oh, yeah, I'm thrilled over this decision. Yeah, I mean, what's next? Are we gonna strike down the government's ability to make a list of terrorists? No, we're not going to do that, are we? Well, these people are domestic terrorists. They terrorize families. They terrorize neighborhoods. Now you have to live in fear that the person next door. And again, we get back to this is an arm of government. And I have always been a proponent, and now I'm even a bigger proponent of electing judges. In states where judges have lifetime appointments, as they do in Massachusetts, and all of them are appointed politically because they know someone, not a good thing. The reality is that if you're appointed by some politician because you know some politician, when somebody that knows that politician's relative gets in trouble, phone calls are made, and this is why we see these sentences of probation for these heinous crimes. We've had numerous instances in the state of Massachusetts. We can go back years and talk about the judges that have released people that have murdered people and drunken driving, the 40th or 50th DUI, and they're getting probation because they're connected. At least in states like Nevada and places like that where they elect judges, you only get one shot at doing that. When you do that, you're gone in the next election. The people will definitely throw you out of office. And this is, to me, this is criminal. To make, there are certain things in life, and I think everybody has a right to due process, but these people were convicted of a crime. And, there are certain things where you really, really have to look at society's rights over the right of the individual. And when it comes to child molestation, I mean, what wide a line of demarcation can we have? I'll tell you one thing, they'll be trying me for murder if anybody ever molests my daughter or granddaughter. Probably the first one will be the judge, one of the judges who issued this order, so I didn't know that there was some pervert living next door. Because I'll tell you what, this is disgraceful. I mean, you can carry your liberalism and your rights of everybody, the due process, only so far. There are certain areas, as now this country has said, and to me, here we are again with government and its duplicity and its paradox. On one hand, we're going to abrogate everybody's rights to privacy because we're afraid some terrorist is going to bomb us. But we don't give people who live in neighborhoods the right to know that there's someone who can affect their family for life by molesting their child. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
I hear. And Carlos, you're a neighborhood leader. How do you feel about this? I mean, really.
I want to say this, and it's been my opinion about crimes. If you are convicted of a crime, in my opinion, you lost all your rights. Automatically. I don't want to hear. You are charged of a crime, you lost your rights. I don't care if you're going to hide you're supposed to hide your face. I don't care what's going on. You are a criminal, you lost your rights. That's my opinion.
Yeah, and look at what our state delegation just did and the State House just did. We have a law on the books, or had a law on the books, which said that if you were convicted of a drug crime, you automatically lost all your licenses, your driver's license, your professional, whatever it may be, but you lost your license. Now they're going to say, oh no, we can't do that because we're affecting their way of making a living. Part of their way of making a living was probably selling drugs, and they need their car to get to their people, their customers to get to. And you know what? We have people in Fall River which haven't committed a drug crime, and they can't get a driver's license for various reasons, whether they be an illegal alien or whatever the case may be. Well, do we start giving them driver's licenses now? Well,
you don't have enough money to buy a car, so why have a license?
I mean, if they broke the law and now we are give them rights back again, now we're going to have to start picking, what law that we're going to, give back. And I said that before, and I just told you, CJ, what is the difference to give back the license to somebody that was caught with drugs and broke the law, and a person that's not legal in here, okay, that broke the law and don't have a drive license now? They need to go to work too, the same way that the guy that got caught with.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
No, you're right, and don't get me started on this because I mean this country is ridiculous with its with its...
We're the Give Me Nation. I wrote this in my column
the bottom
recently.
line is, look, all these people who talk about rehabilitation and that the jail is a secondary education tool, and we keep them out of jail and all this other baloney, that's secondary to punishment. The judicial system was created as a system of punishment for crimes.
Not in Massachusetts.
And I'm sorry, but I'm going to tell you something about rehabilitation. It's absolute crap. You know why? Because the prefix re normally means to do it again. Retread. Okay? Anything with the prefix re normally means to do over, to do it again, to repeat it. So the term itself is wrong, because you get a criminal and you say, we're not going to punish him, we're going to make jail like a country club, and we're going to rehabilitate him. Well, that's wrong, because in order to be rehabilitated, habilitated means to socialize, to be able to be part of society in general. It's a general definition. In order to be rehabilitated, you had to have been habilitated in the first place. You had to be part of our society. And most of these career criminals have never been habilitated in the first place. So the concept of reteaching them and re-socializing them is ridiculous, because they weren't in the first place. They're career criminals. You know, the fact is that if you go to any other country in the world, I think there's probably a murder in New York City every 45 seconds, or there's an assault. There's some kind of crime probably every 10 seconds in the city of New York. And all these clowns in the United States that talk about how strict punishment is not a deterrent are lying. You go through the rest of the world. Tokyo's larger than New York City. There's a murder like every 10 years in Tokyo. Why? Because the Japanese penal system is in fact the penal system. If you go to most of these other countries where they have tremendously harsh punishments, you don't have the problems we do. How can the countries that produce the most drugs have less drug problems than we do? It's because if you get busted for drugs in Turkey, we all saw Midnight Express, and if you haven't, watch it. It's an old movie, but it's a great movie. The fact is, the stuff does work. And when we do things like this, it's a crime against society. The Supreme Judicial Court of the state of Massachusetts, as far as I'm concerned, has committed a crime against the people of this state. And it's wrong. It's absolutely wrong. You cannot, you know, if there's a child molested by one of these animals, they should get every Supreme Court judge and take them to the house of their parents and let them explain to their parents why they made this decision. Because it's reprehensible. I can't even talk about this anymore. I'm so aggravated, I want to hit something.
Well, I hear you, Chip. You know, it does get to be, you know, very questionable. But hey, you know, now that we're on crimes and against the people, let's move on to the recent actions by the 6th floor of the city of Fall River. And Carlos, I believe you were at one of these meetings where they fired the former outreach coordinator for the community, which was Nick Camara, and then announced the hiring of somebody new, but they haven't said who it is yet. But based upon the actions of the current mayor, I'm quite sure that it will be somebody who's a close friend or childhood mentor, like the new Drug Czar. A Drug Czar. And Chip, didn't we say this was going to happen? Didn't we say a Drug Czar was gonna happen?
So we eliminated one job and created 2 new ones.
Yeah.
So that's the last time I did math, that's not a positive for the city when we said let's reduce the size of government. So.
You know, a Sam Sutter line keeps coming into my head. that I'm expecting to hear pretty soon. I need more staff. I don't have enough staff. Remember that line, Carlos, Chip?
Yes, yeah. I mean, we were announced yesterday. That meeting was to announce the neighborhoods, the move of the mayor firing the Nick Camara and supposedly hiring somebody else to replace it. The name was not announced, so at this point we still don't know who. I believe that person it's already picked, you know, but was not announced. The good thing that came out of this meeting and this specially position was that he wants to change the direction of the work being done by this person. So according to the mayor, he wants this person to be working on the streets. He will not have an office at City Hall. He will be mostly working out of his vehicle on the neighborhoods.
Or up at Star.
Or, I don't know. But so that's what was announced at the meeting yesterday. So at this point, we don't know who the person
Look,
is.
we've already determined that job is useless, okay?
Right. And I mean,
If you can't walk into the mayor's office and talk to him about a neighborhood problem, you don't need a liaison. That's only a buffer, and it's another job to give away to one of your buddies. And I'm reading a quote from him that says, told neighborhood leaders who'll be more focused on infrastructure rather than services, just so you're aware to prepare yourself. I think it'll be, especially in the neighborhoods. Then he says that this Mr. Aguiar, who works for Star, and I guess he's going to continue, I don't know. He's going to his childhood mentor. And then he says, according to the release, Aguiar's duties are also to coordinate efforts with the fire and police department, supervising all relevant grants. Look, the fire department and police department know what grants are available. They're the people who get their grants. They're the people who basically did the work. You know, again, more duplication of effort.
But here's the key.
More duplication of effort. The city's got a grant writer. The fire department had somebody who wrote grants or capable of writing grants. I'm sure the police department does.
Yes,
now
they
we
do.
got another guy. You know, this is just more rhetoric to justify giving out more jobs. And now, how do we pay for these jobs? You know, and he's eliminating. He's pulling a Sam Sutter. You close a library and a drop-in center, and you say, there's your big cuts.
Yep.
And you pay more for the drivers to shuttle these people around, and so we lose money. Everything they do is a losing proposition. I haven't seen one attempt to totally reorganize all these departments. And it's just the same old, same old. You know, I mean, Linda Pereira, again, was on the radio stating we have to market the city. How many times are we going to hear that? They've been marketing this city for 20 years. What are you going to market? We just got found that the poorest city in the state of Massachusetts. We're one of the top cities in the country for heroin addiction. We're one of the highest in the state for crime. What are you going to market? Linda, stop using the buzzwords. Years ago, it was dovetail. You remember that, CJ?
Yep.
Everybody, all the people in the inn they all have their buzzwords.
Yep.
We were going to dovetail things. Let's dovetail everything into this, and we'll be focused. Yep. So today, the buzzword for Fall Rivers, we dig up that old hackneyed word, marketing. That's going to save everything. You know, like you said on the last show. You're trying to put lipstick on a pig. And if you put lipstick on a pig, it's a pig with lipstick. That's all it is.
But you know, here's the thing. Now, I don't know if Mike Aguiar still is going to have his job at Star, but if he does, then we have to ask ourselves, then why is he getting the job of Drug Czar? And I'm sorry, I'm going to use that term. Okay? Because remember something about grants, because he's now going to oversee the grants. Okay? The grants have a component for administrative costs, i.e. the grant manager. And that usually gets put into salary. We saw this done with Perry Long, because not only was he the community outreach coordinator, which made him X number of dollars, but he managed the grants for the tree program, and he managed the grants for this and that, and it bucked up his salary hugely, okay? And the same thing's gonna happen here with Mr. Aguiar. And, you know, childhood mentor, I'm very happy for you, Mr. Mayor. He's your childhood mentor. But let me quote you a few facts about your childhood mentor and you. Number one, your childhood mentor was a huge, huge supporter of Mayor William Flanagan, like you were. Or do you forget that? You were such a supporter of Mayor Flanagan that you just about gave his acceptance speech for his election win. So, and Mr. Aguiar went so far as to call us everything under the sun, okay, out in front of City Hall and everywhere else. And he made sure that he is the biggest political kiss ass I've ever met in my life. Because there isn't a politician that goes into office that he's not right up their backside. That man's doing colonoscopies on a daily basis. All right? And I'm sorry, but now he's a public figure. Now we can call him out on it. And if he is truly taking this job, which I'm quite sure he is, okay, Starr should terminate him if he's not leaving for this job. Because
he'll probably leave. He'll end up making 90 grand, 100 grand.
Of course, he's got to be a grant coordinator. He's the one overseeing all the grants. And what does Fall River need with a drug czar? What does Fall River need to be involved in drug abuse and drug prevention? You know what? It's not our job. It's not our job. That's Starr's job. Let them handle it.
And we have a state initiative now. The governor is big into the opiates. We have federal programs, we have state programs, we have state-funded institutions, we have STAR, we have Stepping Stone, we have all these places in Fall River. You know, here we go again. We're finding ways to spend the taxpayers' dollars. And listen, if we had millions of dollars, if this was Natick or Wellesley or Newton, and we had tons and tons of money and you wanted to maybe do something and lend assistance, I still wouldn't agree. but I could say, okay,
we can afford it.
We got the money. But you know something? Now we're going to do the job of someone else. And I understand it's the mayor's, one of the mayor's pet projects. He was involved in the drug in the anti-drug program from the age of 13 or so. And I understand that, you know, but it's not what this city is supposed to do. We're not providing essential services. We don't have enough firefighters. We don't have enough clerks. We don't have enough people providing the services to the taxpayers. The taxpayers are getting killed. And now we're creating more positions. And rather than take this money that he found to create this position and put another firefighter or a police officer or a couple of clerks in City Hall so you can get your bills paid quicker, no. How about giving the damn people who own property and the people who pay rent a break?
That would be too smart.
That would be the last thing. We want to market the city. Nobody's going to move to this city because you get nothing. And you're paying almost as much taxes after you factor in your water fees and your other fees as you do to live in suburbia. Linda, it must be really hard breathing where your head is inserted right now to use the word, we're going to market the city. That you've been using that con for years. We've been marketing, and Kenny Fiola marketed the city, and we've had marketing directors, and we've talked about marketing for the last 20 years. And look what's happened to this city in the last 20 years. It's a total disaster. And why is it a total disaster? Because we find more and more ways to give our cousins, friends, mentors, or whatever kind of adjective you want to attach and whatever kind of euphemism you want to say to give everybody jobs and not provide essential services.
Or worse.
This is a poor city. This is a no-frills city. We should have the dollar menu. And we should spend our money on the things that the taxpayers pay their taxes for, to have an adequate fire protection, adequate police protection, adequate trash service, not more jobs for every political hack that ever interacted.
I have the solution for it. I have the solution. And you know, I really would like to see the people do this, but again, we have a city full of people who are afraid to do anything or are too lazy to do it. We have the right under the law, and we spoke about it previously, to do an underride. Let's calculate the exact cost of all these hack jobs, all these multiple assistant department heads, all these assistant supervisors that are not necessary. Calculate the exact dollar figure for salaries, benefits, and retirement, and put that in for the underride. And that will be the underride. That's what will come off the top of your budget and your tax assessment. And that will be it. Because guess what? The people have the right to do that. And you know, maybe that's the only way that the 6th floor, or the 2nd floor, being the city council, will understand that this is our money, it's not yours. And until you realize that we're the ones that are paying the bills and not you, you need to shut up and listen and do what we tell you to do. You are nothing more than our puppets, not the puppets of the money mongers and the political machines. And unless you learn that, you're not going to be in office too long. How you've survived all this time, Linda, is beyond me. But let me tell you something. I've looked over your record very closely for the past 20 years. You have zero long-term, sustainable, positive votes. And with that record, the people still vote you in. So I don't know why.
Well, I've got to give the people, you know, I know you're being...
I'm being harsh.
You're being harsh on the people. I give the people kudos in this city. We've changed 3 mayors in just a little over a year. If this keeps going, it may be 4 in less than 2 years, or in another 2 years. Who knows? But as I've said before, for some reason we give the school committee, which is another subject we're going to take
$4 million shortfall, according to Melissa Pansley.
Which is an absolute lie, but that's okay. We'll deal with that on Monday. But we have to carry that same anger and also that same message over to the city council. We have to tell the council that, we can get rid of mayors, but getting rid of mayors isn't enough. We need to put a council in that won't approve it, because guess what? The council will approve every single one of these jobs, so as far as I'm concerned, they are accessories before, during, and after the fact of the assassination of the taxpayer in Fall River.
And I have it on good authority, because I met with one of Jazel's minions before he was inaugurated.
A minion?
That they don't have to worry about the city council because they have all the votes locked up already. So there you go, city councilors. You've been thrown under the bus now. So it's amazing what we're going to see, because we already know that you have the fastest listing of committee positions ever seen in the city of Fall River. So we know that was done in backdoor deals, okay, because you weren't inaugurated yet. You weren't sworn in, so you didn't have to worry about 30A violations. I'm so fed up with secret government. And you know what, Mr. Mayor, Mr. City Council President, you want to meet with me or anyone else and talk about an underride? Let's go. Because both of you know I'm good at doing what I do. And if I have to do this, maybe I will, maybe I won't. I don't know. I'm tired. I'm tired. People in Fall River need to know that they have the right.
Well, you know, I'm reading this again, and it's talking about his drug prevention counselor at Star and stuff. So why don't you let him just stay at your mentor, stay at Star, and pat him on the back a few times and give him a little publicity and let them do their work. No, what do? We create a city job.
That's right.
With city benefits and city health care. So you know what the moral of all this story is? Stay angry.
Yeah, stay angry and stop questioning everything they do and say. Carlos, it was great having you back today. Wish you had some more to say.
Thank you.
Nice bow tie, Carlos.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
That's what she does best.
But